Welcome to Inside Richmond, the official vodcast of Richmond Rugby Club. Today we're joined by Director of Rugby, Steve Hill. Steve, a big welcome back to the show. How are you?
No, good. Thanks very much. Trying to sort of take in all the challenging changes that seem to be thrown at us on a daily basis. So it's certainly an interesting time.
Absolutely. It's been a while since we last spoke. Things have moved quite quickly in different directions. Last night we received some frustrated news, I guess, from the RFU. Can you sort of touch on that and what it means for the community game and for all sections of our club?
Yeah, so the RFU, I think, on the back of recent sort of government initiatives, have announced that there will definitely be no organised fixtures for community rugby until at least next January. So, you know, from our club, that means, you know, Vikings, Saxons, Normans, Jutes, women, Colts, youth team fixtures, you know, organised fixtures played in leagues, you know, cannot happen until January. So I think, you know, that was a bit of a blow to all of us because I think, you know, we were hoping it wasn't going to be that late, but that's what we've been told.
Yep, you mentioned there, it obviously does affect all sections of our club. What is your message to them, to our players, our coaches, our support staff, volunteers, our supporters, our members for the next few months? Because we have had a fantastic few months recently with great numbers at the club.
Yeah, no, I think, Tom, I mean, you know, whilst we're sort of disappointed about there not being any fixtures, I mean, you know, the support the club have had from all of our sections, you know, so far through this difficult time has been amazing. I mean, you know, last night, Thursday night, you know, we had over 100 adult rugby players training on 4 different pitches, you know, which is fantastic when you think that, you know, we don't know when the next fixture is going to be. So, you know, and I think that's, you know, that shows very much that, you know, although the first 15 is in the championship, we are still very much a community club, you know, and we're offering rugby for all of our sort of Richmond Rugby Club community, and that will very much continue. I mean, our performance squad, the top group, they've been training 3 times a week. The guys who make up the sort of Saxons, Normans, Jutes, they've been training twice a week. Our women are training twice a week. You know, and although we are restricted in what we can do, although those restrictions have been lifted to a certain extent, we can now do a certain amount of contact training, whatever else. There is still plenty on offer from our coaches that, you know, mean the guys have a really enjoyable session. You know, they're getting fit, they're getting strong, and their skills are improving. So, you know, but they're also getting to come down and see their mates. And I think that's an integral part of what we're about. So that's really pleasing. But I think also, you know, tomorrow will be the 4th Sunday that the mini and youth sections have been back. And, you know, it's been fantastic in terms of the numbers that have come, you know, over the last 3 weekends. You know, all sections have reported good numbers, and virtually all sections have reported new players turning up. Because, you know, one of the things that you can do under these current regulations from the government is get involved in organised sport. So, you know, whether it's, you know, coming down and training with the Normans on a Tuesday night, or, you know, coming down with the under-7s on a Sunday, or the under-16s later on a Sunday, you know, that's all allowed. And we very much want to encourage people doing that. So the numbers have been really good. And you know, and I see no reason, you know, why that shouldn't continue. The Ready for Rugby game that we're now playing, a sort of version of touch rugby, you know, we've brought in different variations, as lots of other clubs do, so, you know, don't get bored with it. And, you know, I think the guys, you know, the guys and girls playing it would say, you know, it's a really enjoyable game. It's not full on contact. We know that, you know, it's not full scrummaging, but there are a lot of aspects of the game of rugby that we can work on and get fun enjoyment from.
Absolutely. And I think that is the message. We will keep pushing on. At the moment, it is under Stage D guidelines by the RFU. So I'm guessing from your point of view, the plan for the next few months until we know more is just to continue training, preparing, and just getting together as a club and enjoying each other's company while we can.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, and I think after, you know, yesterday's announcement, you know, we now know there aren't going to be league fixtures. But that doesn't mean that we can't arrange, you know, fixtures against other clubs on a friendly basis for, you know, playing the Ready for Rugby game, you know, and that allows us to, you know, the training that we're doing during the week. That means you can practice that against people you don't know on a Saturday. it also means it's a reason for, the bar to open, for the canteen to open, for people to come down. We'll have much more flexibility in timing. So, we can play, our touch rugby early, get into the bar, watch the rugby that's on the television, because obviously there's some fantastic matches coming up over the next few weeks and a whole range of internationals that'll be on. So, still make it a really good rugby day, just a slightly different rugby day to what we were doing this time last year.
Absolutely. And obviously it's a big financial blow, I guess, for all rugby clubs, not just ourselves, but how thankful are you to the Richmond faithful, the members who have renewed their memberships without knowing any fixtures whatsoever, the people that got behind our crowdfunder? How thankful are you to everyone who continues to support our club? That includes our brilliant range of sponsors as well.
Yeah, I mean, Tom, it is fantastic, and it shows what a tremendous club this is. I'm going into my 11th season as director of rugby, and the reason I've been here for more than 10 years is because it is such a fantastic club, and things like that now, don't surprise me. We've actually took more membership fees this year than this time last year, because people wanted to support the club, and the crowdfunding, over £30,000, that's hugely significant for us at this particular time. And again, those sponsors who've renewed, they don't know if they're going to get any international tickets, they don't know if they're going to get any games to watch, but because they've been with us in the past, they know what we're about, they want to continue. And the message is, we need that to continue still, because Richmond Rugby Club isn't going anywhere. We're one of the clubs that have been through plenty of turmoil, over the last sort of 20, 25 years. And one thing we do very well is we know how to survive. In the entire time I've been here, the people in charge of our finance have put money away for the rainy day. Well, the rainy day has now arrived in spades. But, that puts us in a really strong position to sort of survive. So yeah, it's really important. And again, for these things going forward, these afternoons, Saturday afternoons that we're going to arrange, great to see people coming down and supporting and watching, and seeing the guys, on the pitch, because, we want to keep people having the habit of being involved in their rugby club, because at the end of the day, we are a members club. It is their club. So, we want to see people down there.
There's been a lot of chats, obviously, off the back of last night's release about losing a generation of players or losing rugby players to other sports. Do you agree with this, or do you see that as a bit of nonsense and feel that we?
I can understand where people might be thinking from, but actually I see no evidence of that. And the reason I say that is, if you look at the summer sports that are just coming to an end, sort of tennis, golf and cricket, their numbers are through the roof. I played cricket for Teddington Town, and we would normally run 4 or 5 teams over a weekend. We've run 7 teams every weekend this season, because people are desperate to get out of their houses and get involved in sport. And again, as I said earlier, one of the things you are going to be able to do, you don't have to be in a group of 6, is get involved in organised sport. We have had more than 40 new players come to Richmond Rugby Club this year, from a range of abilities, guys who are going to push for first team, guys who are never going to play higher than the 5th team. I really do think that, people want to get involved in sport. It gets them out of the house. It keeps them healthy. It's fantastic for their mental health. They're getting to see, and speak to their mates and new people. So all those things I think are really important, probably even more important than usual. So no, I don't subscribe to this thing that, we're going to lose this generation. It's fantastic if youngsters go off and play other sports, they go off and play football, go off and play tennis, as well as playing rugby. Well, I fully support that. But I don't think the fact that there aren't leagues and there aren't fixtures, is actually going to lose all these players to the game. Not at all.
You touched on Saturdays and opening the club to the membership to come along and watch the Ready for Rugby tournament. We've got one tomorrow, which we'll touch on in just a moment. But I guess from your point of view as DOR, can you touch on the people who have worked so hard recently, such as Mish Cuthbert, who have made such a big difference, Don Pelagio, in making sure the venue is safe for our players, but also safe for people who want to come along and get a beer and catch up. All clubs have to have an appointed COVID-19 officer, and Michelle Cuthbert, who's been our lead physio for over 20 years, has taken on that role. And that's hugely time consuming. And Misha's absolutely thrown herself into that role. And
she's become irreplaceable in terms of her knowledge, but also the contacts that she's made with, all the different organisations to make sure, that we are doing things right, and and we are ticking all the right boxes and making sure all of our members, all of our players, our coaches and physios are absolutely safe. So that's fantastic. And Don Palaccio, in his role of head of community rugby, very similarly, has had a huge assistance to all the mini and junior sections, their coaches, the parents, the age group managers, so they understand what's required. Because there are restrictions, there are regulations we have to follow. Some people need to be reminded or informed, and that's fine. At this moment, we're in this sort of reminding and informing people. We will get to a stage where I might have to bark at one or two people, but hopefully that's a week or two off. But I mean, yeah, it's really important, that we get things right. So Mish and Dom have done a fantastic job, and I think, again, another person to look at is JD, our head groundsman. I mean, our pitches are in fantastic shape, and but the reality is those pitches are now being used 7 days a week. We have training Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday nights. During the week, we've got a couple of schools using them. Saturday morning, we've got now, Q Ladies football team using pitch 4. So, his work hasn't diminished. In fact, it's gone up. So, we're very fortunate these type of people working so hard to make the club look as good as it is. And again, I think you've also got to, take your hat off to the sort of the board members who are volunteers. I mean, I happen to know this morning there are 2 or 3 hour meetings going on looking at all the financial implications, etc. And those people don't get paid for that. They do it for the love of the club. And, I think we've got to be thankful and really work out how we can support those people, in the roles they're doing.
Definitely. In last night's announcement, it touched on the men's championship. Obviously, with being promoted now, we're still waiting to find out exactly what will happen about that. Will it start before Christmas? Do you have any further update on the men's championship at this point?
I think the only thing that might confuse people is that the Premiership, the Championship, and the Premier 15s, the women competition, weren't included when the RFU said there would be no fixtures until January. And my understanding is that's because as a club in the Championship, we are now part of what's seen as the elite end of rugby, and my understanding is the RFU will be talking to government about the elite end of rugby to gain potential financial support to make sure that can continue. So I think that's why that doesn't indicate necessarily that we will start any earlier than the rest of the community game, although it'd be fantastic if we would do. But I think that's really why that differentiation was made. I mean, I think from our point of view, and I think from Championship club's point of view, a key issue is going to be, when crowds can come back in and watch the game. So I think there's some stuff within our control, and there's a lot of stuff outside of our control. And I think, when we talk to the players about a Saturday afternoon performance, we talk about controlling the controllables, whereas a club, we've got to do the same. We can only control the certain things that we can do, and we've got to focus on that. And outside of that, crowds and outside finance, whatever else, that's other people make decisions around that.
And one thing we can control is tomorrow, and hopefully a good celebration to look back on what was a fantastic 2019-20 season for our men's first team, promoted back to the Championship, crowned National One League champions. We have a special event tomorrow at the club, a promotion event. It's going to be safe. We've sent out the safety measures that will be in place. So I guess, Steve, what is your message to people who might be thinking about coming along tomorrow?
Well, don't come, because then I'll get served earlier. But actually, no, not no. We want to see as many people down there as possible, and it's great. I've had loads of messages this week from people we know confirming they're coming down, etc. I mean, tomorrow's going to look like sort of between 12:45 and 2:30. There will be a range of our teams playing that's ready for rugby on pitch 1 and on pitch 4. We've had potential late entry from the heavies last night who insisted on getting involved,
very good.
Which is fantastic. And then, the RFU have sent us medals for our players to receive as mementos of last season. In fact, we've managed to, through our many contacts in the club, actually get hold of the National One trophy from the bowels of the RFU. And that's going to be presented by a fairly senior RFU person tomorrow. So those are the formalities. But the important thing then is coming down and seeing your mates and seeing your friends and that sort of stuff. And yes, we've got to do that within the restrictions. You know, people have got to be sort of sat down in the bar and sat down in groups of 6. But that doesn't mean we can't have a lot of fun and enjoyment. And, you know, and at the end of the day, that's why we do this. You know, that's why we're all involved in Richmond Rugby Club, because it's good fun and it's enjoyable. And, you know, we've organised sunny weather tomorrow. It's maybe not as warm as we'd like, but it's going to be sunny. There's not going to be any rain. By all accounts, there's a couple of reasonable games on the television as well. So if you're inclined to watch those down at the club as well, that'll be an added, you know, an added reason to come down. But no, I'm really looking forward to it.
Definitely. Steve, thank you for your time. To everyone else, we look forward to seeing as many of you down at the club tomorrow. It will be a safe environment, and we'll make sure it's a good day to celebrate what was a fantastic season for our club last year in National 1. So the message from Steve is we're pushing on. We're going to take the next few months as it comes, and we'll try and get rugby back as soon as possible. But stick with Richmond, because it's a fantastic club to be involved with. Thanks, Steve, for your time, and I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see everyone else tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Cheers, Tom. All the best. Thanks.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.